Hi, and welcome to Sports Update, where we give you the latest happenings in all sports. You'll find out what's going down in Evangel sports, college football, and the NFL. I'm Brock Wilson.
And I'm Sophie Shore, and this is Sports Update.
Well, we've been talking about how most of the fall sports are winding down and giving way to winter sports. And so on this show, we have a couple seasons that are officially concluding so far. But the women's basketball team had a game a couple nights ago, and after a couple nail-biting last-second losses in their first two matchups, the ladies would finally play a complete game when they traveled to St. Gregory's on Monday. Evangel did a great job of facilitating the ball and controlling the glass with 18 assists and 48 rebounds as a squad. The Crusaders would have just a 5-point lead at halftime, but really got the offense going in the second half as they outscored their opponent by 24 points in that half alone for a 74-45 victory. Regine Brown led all scorers with 18 points, while Taylor Longley continued to stay in double digits, scoring with 11. She's now averaging 17 points per game. Evangel will tip off its 26-game conference schedule on Saturday with an afternoon matchup at Peru State at 2 o'clock.
This past Saturday was senior day for the Crusader football boys, and they certainly capped it off right, posting a victory over Avila Saturday in the Heart of America Athletic Conference action. Evangel built an early 23-7 lead over Avila, with senior quarterback Blake Woodard throwing 3 touchdown passes. Woodard finished the day 24 of 34 for 245 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Crusaders' defense recorded a safety in the first half after a Brady Burke punt pinned the Eagles on their own 1-yard line. Zane Kaiser scored the final touchdown for the Crusaders, capping a 14-play, 71-yard drive that took 6 minutes and 39 seconds off the clock in the fourth quarter. The Crusaders would have 420 yards of total offense in the win and 175 yards on the ground. Chance Smith, a junior, led Evangel in receiving yards with 61. Cade Wilkie rushed for a season-high 112 yards, running and catching for a touchdown. Senior Devin Overall led Evangel with 14 tackles in his final home game for the Crusaders. Josh Evans added to his league-leading sack total with a 5-yard sack in the second half. Up next, Evangel heads to the nation's second-ranked team next weekend, Baker University, in the Heart Game of the Week on ESPN3. The Crusaders and Wildcats will kick off at 11 a.m. from Baldwin City, Kansas.
That was quite a showing. Of course, they got the ESPN3 broadcast last weekend in the game against Avila, and Blake Woodard finally came out and had a great game. 4 touchdowns, over 200 yards passing, 245 yards passing. And a way to send out the season at home on a high note, beating Avila on an ESPN3 broadcast.
Long game.
Yeah.
ESPN3 games are long games, so that was a tough. And with the women's basketball team, you mentioned, won big last night. Have another game coming up in Peru, Nebraska this Saturday. So look forward to seeing how we continue to show out.
Kicking off the conference schedule as well at Peru State. Senior Devin Callgrove clinched his 3rd straight trip to the NAIA National Championship cross-country meet with a 6th place finish in the Heart of America Conference Championship on Saturday. Callgrove finished with a time of 26 minutes and 37.64 seconds, a time that was just seconds off his personal best. The top finisher for the ladies in the conference championship was freshman Leslie Perona, who finished her race with a personal best time of 19 minutes and 33.7 seconds. That would be good for a 21st place finish. Now, the team cross-country season did conclude at the HAC Conference Championship, but make sure you keep an eye on Devin Callgrove in the National Championship, which will be held in Elsa, Illinois on November 19th.
The Evangel University volleyball team fell in the Hart postseason tournament quarterfinals to the number 2 seed Mid-America Nazarene in 3 sets Saturday night. The Crusaders rebounded after a tough 25-15 first set, but they were never able to get over the hump against the Pioneers. MNU took the second set 26-24 and finished off with the match with a 25-21 win. Evangel was led by Heather Gom on offense, who tallied 11 kills with a .207 hitting percentage. Morgan King-Singer closed her career by adding 5 more blocks to her career total and school record of 739 blocks. King-Singer also cracked the Evangel's top list for kills, finishing with 1,158. She was joined by teammate Jackie Fugit, who tallied 1,191 kills. The volleyball team ended their season with a winning record of 20-15. I know it's not the way that those seniors wanted to go out, but overall, heck of a career by those girls. Congratulations.
And that was a decent season. Of course, when you finish it out, and you lose to a team like Mid-American Nazarene, who is ranked in the top 10 in the country for most of the season, and you finally got Morgan Kinsinger back for those last couple games, and you saw the level of play kind of improve. The game at the net got a lot better because you had a lot more size, and but still the talent just didn't seem to be there like it was last year, and tough for the opposite or for the differing talent bases to really compete in a game against Mid-American.
And just talking about, as a senior, you look at your last game of the season and that's what you judge off your whole career, kind of like, what if I would have done this? But I mean, after making a run towards the national tournament last year, how well they've done the previous 3 years, they deserve nothing but commending for all their hard work.
Right.
So. The men's basketball season is about to be underway, and in charge is an old familiar face. Here's Brock Wilson with the story.
The 2016-2017 men's basketball campaign is about to kick off here at Evangel, and returning at the helm for his 35th season as head coach of the squad is Steve Jenkins. Coach Jay has been at Evangel for 40 years now, and probably not many know what all he's been a part of at this campus.
I've coached golf, I've coached basketball this is my 35th year as a head coach. I was a head baseball coach for 6 years when I first got back to Evangel from my first coaching job down in Lakeland, Florida.
In his 35th year, Coach Jenkins' team was picked 8 out of 14 teams in the Heart of America Conference preseason coaches poll. But of course, you can't always trust polls, and Coach Jay wants to make sure the rest of the conference respects his team.
I like our team. I think we've got some versatility. We've got a little more depth than we had a year ago, and I think we're going to surprise some people.
Looking to the future, after 40 years of coaching, Coach Jenkins isn't ready to call it quits yet.
I think I want to keep going as long as I'm healthy, and as long as I enjoy what I'm doing. I think coaching is it's not really been a job. I enjoy it. I haven't planned a set retirement. Now, if we go through another miserable season, I might be able to be talked out of some things. I'm not actively pursuing retirement at this point.
It is sure to be another exciting season of men's basketball here at the Ashcroft Center. For scores and updates, please make sure you visit evangelathletics.com. Reporting for Sports Update, I'm Brock Wilson.
Well, that was a great story, if I do say so myself, folks. Brock, are you going to the game tonight?
I am. I'll be calling the game this Tuesday, and it's going to be an exciting season. Coach Jenkins has mentioned that they've had some issues on defense over the last year they did, and that's the big topic of discussion this year is whether or not the defense will be able to hold up, because their offensive scoring was up last year from the year before, but their points that they're allowing opponents is also up last year. So the real goal this year is to be able to limit opponent scoring while also keeping up that level of offense.
And we'll find out if they can Tuesday night.
Right. After the break, we'll be revealing our Player of the Week.
We will also go over Evangel's upcoming games. Stay tuned.
Catch all the HD broadcast of Evangel Sports on EUTV through livestream.com. EUTV features weekly programs like Sports Update and News Watch Today. You can also see award-winning student films from Evangel filmmakers. Evangel University Television broadcasts to Evangel dorms on channels 12 and 35-1. You can also find EUTV on Mediacom Channel 84 in Springfield. And now, EUTV is on livestream.com, broadcasting on the web 24 hours a day. So check it out. Go to livestream.com, enter EUTV in the search box, and click on the EU icon. EUTV, the home of edutainment.
This week's Player of the Week is a familiar face around
Yes, he
Sports
is.
Update. Victoria, tell us the story.
This week's Player of the Week is a deserving senior from the cross-country team. Congratulations to Devin Callgrove. Devin has placed in 5 out of 6 events this season, and 4 of those were in the top 10. This past weekend, as mentioned before, he qualified for his 3rd trip back to the NAIA Championships in Illinois on the 19th of this month. Callgrove is from Nixa, Missouri, and is majoring in intercultural studies. He has had an outstanding season this year, and it's a bittersweet feeling when a senior has a great season like he did, but it's also his last. Brock and Sophie, I can't wait to see the results from the championships. Sophie, did you think that when you interviewed Devin earlier on this year that he would be where he is now?
You know, I had a feeling about the guy when I was interviewing. Made a few words, but really enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah.
Very humble. He seemed like the type that would do pretty well. So I can't say I really was surprised. What about you, Brock?
He's a very determined person, and stuff that he sets his mind to, he's going to do it. And there is absolutely no reason to believe that after 2 straight trips to the national championship, he wouldn't have another one this year.
Yeah, I agree. Victoria, now this fall season is ending, and we're getting some new sports coming in like basketball. Will you tell us a little bit about what upcoming games can we expect the next week?
Well, there has been some quiet weeks for Evangel Athletics, but I don't think there has been one like this upcoming week. Crusader football has their last game of the season on Saturday, and they will play Baker, who is 2nd in the NAIA. This game will be televised on ESPN, and kickoff is at 11 a.m. Women's basketball conference opens play on Saturday at Peru State, where tip-off is scheduled for 2. And the men's basketball team will tip off against Peru State at 4 right after the women's game. That's all I have for EU upcoming. Back to you guys.
Well, after this football game this weekend, the only thing that we'll really have going on campus as far as sports go is basketball, men's and women's basketball. And so that means that winter is getting near, and that means Christmas is almost here, and that means we'll have another semester in the books.
And everyone should go to those games since there's only 2. So we
Yeah.
can direct all of our focus.
Everyone get out to the Ashcroft Center. Watch all those games, because that's all we've got going on.
Up next, we will be getting a look at the close of the football season.
So stay tuned to Sports Update.
I dream of a campus where students encounter a living Christ.
Guys, we're living the best years of our lives at Evangel University. This year's gonna be the best one yet.
We are here with head coach of the EU Crusaders football team, Chuck Hepla. Coach Hepla, we talked before a little bit before we started the interview about how you've coached at Division I AA schools, Division I schools, and some high school football around the area. How did you get to Evangel University?
Well, kind of a funny story. The previous head coach, Coach Elam, was a good friend of mine, and on a couple of occasions he would just call me out of the blue and just say, "Hey, do you ever have an interest in coming back to Evangel?" And at that particular time, I was at some of these bigger schools of Division I and so forth, and I just had no interest, and I just didn't feel led to do that. Well, Evangel started soccer, and you might think, how in the world is the connection there? But when they started soccer, my daughter was actually the first signee that Evangel ever had in the soccer program, and so about a month later, they called me and asked me if I would be interested in a position, and I went in and told my wife, I said, we're never going to get a chance to watch our daughter play soccer, and unless we, consider this. And so we prayed about it, fasted about it, and the next thing you know, boom, I'm an assistant coach here, and so served under Coach Elam and enjoyed my time here. And then I got to watch my daughter play a little soccer too. So
you said come back. Did you graduate from here?
I graduated from here, so I'm an alum
wow.
from here, and met my wife here, and her family went here. My brother went here. We are connected with Evangel.
You're very
through and
invested.
through. Very, very much so.
Well, that is excellent, Coach. So talking about your first year as head coach,
Yep.
how could you sum that up? How do you feel about how this season has gone so far?
It's been fun. We play a competitive schedule. We were talking about it yesterday. In fact, 5 of our 6 losses, right now we're currently 4-6, and 5 of our 6 losses were the top 15 teams in the nation. So what we've got to do is get to the point to where we can get at that same level that those other teams are and get ourselves ranked in the top 25. But, we've definitely done some really good things on the field, and I'm excited about the future. And we're constantly talking to our players about the culture of our team and the culture of excellence, the culture of winning, and so that's what we're striving for, so that we can get to the point to be at the level of the teams that unfortunately have beaten us. So,
talking about the culture and dynamic of the team, what has been, as far as senior leadership, you had senior day the other day.
Mm-hmm.
How has your senior leadership contributed to that culture, and what will be missed when they leave?
Well, those guys, are great senior leaders, and they embraced me. They could have easily said, I'm not happy with this choice. Anybody could do that, and they did not do that. They embraced me, and they believe in what we're preaching to the players, and they believe in the way that we're going. And so they've been a great representative of the university, of their family, of their namesake, and it's just been a positive experience for me. So I can't thank them enough.
So as far as Baker, this is your next game.
Mm-hmm.
They're number 2 in the nation.
Correct.
What is the game plan as far as, do they have a strong run game?
Well, when you're number 2 in the nation, you're good at everything.
Yeah.
So our job is just for us to play fast. We're going to find the things that we do well on every phase, and we're going to do those, and we're going to get our guys to play fast. And to be honest with you, even though they're ranked on number 2, we don't really concern ourselves with the opponent very much. Our competition is ourself as an athlete to be able to play at the highest level. Mm-hmm. And if you play at a high level, no matter who you're playing, good things are going to happen. And so we don't get in front of the team and say, oh goodness, here we go, we're playing the number 2 ranked team in the nation, because every week in the sport of football, there's teams getting beat.
Absolutely.
NFL, high school, middle school, college, there's teams getting beat. So our job is just to focus on us and do the best we can.
As far as the future and what the future holds, what do you project for this season's coming to an end?
Yep.
And then what do you project next season?
Well, we've got a lot of young players coming back, so I project us just every year getting better and better, and we'll recruit players to come to Evangel that that fit the bill for Evangel. And what we mean is we're looking for a unique fit. Every university has a unique fit. Mm-hmm. So just because we're at Evangel doesn't mean it's unique. It's unique to that place. All the other previous institutions I was at, we always talked about that as well. Somebody that fits our particular university. So we're going to get out and recruit the best student athletes that we can, nationwide, and then just put a good product out there. And we feel like we have a great coaching staff. We had great core players right now. We had great leadership from our seniors. Now, if we can just get a few more players and just get them out there and execute and coach them up, we'll see what happens.
Coach, I just want to thank you for being with us today. Good luck to you as you finish the season, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future. We all do here at Sports Update. Up next, we'll be covering the top NCAA games, including the Alabama versus LSU game. Stay tuned.
The world is waiting for you to make an impact in the career field God has called you to. He has equipped you with the creativity, skills, and talents you need to be successful. And at Evangel, you'll be empowered with a dynamic education and a spirit-led community that will help turn His design into your life's calling for global ministry in every vocation. Unleash your potential. Visit us today.
Well, after our show last week, the first college football playoff poll came out, and they had Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, and Texas A&M in the first poll. And I thought, well, how in the heck did Texas A&M get into the college football playoffs.
How they do it.
How they do it. And so they had a big game this weekend to prove that they deserve to be in the college football playoffs. And again, they came out of nowhere and got themselves into that spot. And so they're hoping to drop a big number on Mississippi State. But look at the Dogs on their first drive. Quarterback, leader of the team, Nick Fitzgerald, busts a 75-yard touchdown run on Mississippi State's first drive of the game. They're going to go up 7-0, but it's A&M, right? They'll be fine. They score on their next possession. Mississippi State gets a stop. Fitzgerald strikes to Fred Ross. He has a 60-yard touchdown reception. Mississippi State goes up by 2 scores. They're up by 3 scores into the second half. They got a punt. Now, this was a controversial play. Back for the punt reception. Player receives it. It looks like a block in the back there, but Christian Kirk is going to escape to the outside, hit the edge, and take this back for a 90-yard punt return to finish out the half to get A&M back into within 2 scores. And if you see here, Dan Mullen is not happy. He is livid with the officials on that no block in the back call. Now, it's not about how hard you can hit, but sometimes it's about how hard you can get hit and then get back up. Mississippi State, last drive of the game, they put 7 more on the board to go up by 2 scores. A&M would score again, get the ball back one more time, but Trevor Knight throws an interception to Mark McLaren to ice the game for the Dogs. Hail State, they knock off A&M to take them out of the college football playoffs.
Nick Saban and the #1 Crimson Tide went to number 13 LSU for a little dance this past weekend. LSU did certainly not look intimidated with a heck of a defensive play right out of the gate. They would get a quick stop and try to take advantage. Danny Etling to DJ Chark, an amazing catch. Tigers feeling pumped, no doubt, but neither team would be able to get into the end zone for a while. 13 left in the third and nothing on the board, folks. Alabama would try to make it happen, but we were coming into the fourth and still scoreless until number 2, Jalen Hurts, calling his own number, runs it on in for the touchdown. Bama would then be able to punch it in on a field goal, just barely getting it in. With 30 seconds to go, Nick Saban taking a victory lap after winning his 21st game in a row. Alabama wins in a low-scoring game, 10-0. They will face off against the 4 and 5 Mississippi State Bulldogs at home next week. And I think, Brock, they definitely upheld themselves.
Yeah.
Low scoring, but still shut out.
That is an old school, hard-nosed football game right there against LSU. Oof. And of course, I was sitting there watching that, and I felt a lot more nervous than I feel like I needed to be in a game like that because, of course, I still think that that's a game that Alabama should have won a little better than they did. Of course, 10-0. Now, don't get me wrong, LSU is a great football team, but Etling is not your standard SEC, great quarterback, and that showed. Of course, he didn't make some great decisions. He didn't make great passes, and of course, that's why Alabama eventually came out on top in that game.
We talked about last week. We were wondering if LSU would be able to kind of pull a little bit of a wild card against them, and they didn't. But like I said, into the third, scoreless, and we wouldn't score till the fourth quarter, basically. So it was just very, very long game.
And Alabama's got Mississippi State next weekend when they upset A&M. They upset A&M last week, and so that they'll definitely be upset-minded again. Looking at some Big 12 action, Big 12 could be the conference that gets left out of the playoffs again because, frankly, they continue to beat each other up in the conference. Kansas State taking on Oklahoma State. Neither team's a real contender, but hey, Kansas State looking to play upset to the Cowboys. First drive of the game, Jesse Ertz runs this one in for a touchdown. Show some love to the K-State fans. They're up 6-0. Big fullback Winston DeMille is going to take the snap at the Wildcat. He runs in, scores that touchdown. K-State's going to go up 13-0. Of course, they missed that extra point on their first touchdown there. Mason Rudolph is no sloth in the backfield himself, though. He hits Jason Mikulski in the flat. That little underplay, he runs out, hits the corner, puts Oklahoma State on the board 13-7. Rudolph again out of the backfield. He's going to hit the big tight end. Blake Jarwin down the field. He hustles, just about gets caught, but he rumbles right into the end zone for another score. Oklahoma State goes up top, 14-13. Rudolph again drops back, 10-yard line. James Washington back of the end zone. He pulls that one in for another touchdown. Mason Rudolph finished the game with a career-high 5 touchdowns, leading Oklahoma State to a big win, 47-43.
Number 11, Florida went up to play unranked Arkansas this past weekend. Wouldn't have known it, though, from the first few plays. Number 9, Santos Ramirez with the pick 6. Razorback Stadium was absolutely rocking. It would be still early in the first when Arkansas would be up by 14. Florida decided to get an interception of their own, making this a one-score game. 14-7, late Allen fires up to Morgan for the touchdown. It would be late in the fourth and Arkansas would be up 24-10, and they would continue to find holes with Williams with an excellent cut. He would find the end zone quickly in style, evading a tackle. Florida fans looking very disappointed. Unranked Arkansas upsets Florida by nearly 20 points. Up next, the Razorbacks take on the Fort Wayne Mastodons at home with what we could call a cupcake game.
Arkansas gets a big win. They're rewarded with a cupcake next week. Yeah. It's a FCS school.
I don't think, obviously we've had huge upsets before, but I don't think anyone saw the Arkansas Razorbacks upsetting. I didn't think they would.
Arkansas's been one of those middle-of-the-pack SEC teams all year. And Florida kind of has found itself in the top 15 almost all year long with those 2 losses. And I don't think a lot of the SEC really respected Florida going into this game. And Arkansas took it to them, and good for them showing that Florida team what those middle-of-the-pack SEC teams are made of. And Arkansas played a good, full 60 minutes of football, and they deserved the win. Yeah. After the break, we'll be recapping our top NFL games, including the Lions and the Vikings.
So stay tuned to Sports Update.
Did you know there's a place online that is home to Evangel University student media? Well, on CrusaderMedia.com, you can listen to KECC Radio Live, watch the most recent News Watch Today and Sports Update shows, as well as watch the past student-directed EU films, read the Lance student newspaper online, learn more about the Excalibur yearbook, read profiles on featured students, faculty, and staff, and even stay up to date with campus life by watching the hilarious EU Cribs dorm life videos and much more. Head over to CrusaderMedia.com today and stay up to date with life at Evangel University.
Well, we're going to start off our NFL segment, as we always do, with some Monday Night Football. And the Seahawks were riding a streak of 10 straight Monday Night Football wins going into their matchup with the Bills. The 12th man was out in force, hoping to get Seattle back in the win column after they lost and tied their past 2 games. Tyrod Taylor's going to punch him in the mouth early. Escapes to the outside on the quarterback keeper, putting the Bills up 7-0 on their first drive of the game. Russell Wilson, he's going to rally the troops. Seattle comes back on offense, has a keeper of his own. He escapes out to the right side. Linebackers can't get to him. Seattle ties it up, 7 apiece. Game still tied late in the first quarter. Tyrod Taylor drops back, hits Justin Hunter in the end zone. Touchdown, putting the Bills up again by a score. Bills up by a score. Russell Wilson drops back, floats one into the back corner of the end zone. Jimmy Graham, one-handed catch in the back of the end zone. Look at that. That's about as stiff a defense as you can run, because he's got his other hand tied up. Now look at this. Jimmy Graham is going to do it one more time. Another one-handed catch in the end zone, this time in double coverage to put Seattle up 28-17. A little controversy at the end of the second half. Not going to show the field goal issues that we had. So let's go right to the end of the game. Buffalo down by 6. Tyrod Taylor, 4th and goal. One more shot to put the Bills up. And Earl Thomas bats it away. Tyrod Taylor disgusted that he couldn't put the Bills up late in that game. Bills with the loss. Seattle Seahawks extend their Monday Night Football win streak to 11 with the 31-25 victory.
Moving on to Kansas City Chiefs news, Nick Foles would suit up for the Chiefs again with Alex Smith still unable to return to the field. Have to admit, made me nervous at first until this play, 2nd and 10, Foles to Wilson for the Kansas City touchdown. Jaguars would try to get something going before half, and they would. Robertson with the quick hands for a touchdown. With a little over 4 minutes to go in the game, Kansas City would end up being up 12. And it looked like they could maybe run away with it. Contraire Monfair, this was a 2-possession ball game now, folks. With 2 minutes left, they have the ball back and it's 4th down. Thankfully, Kansas City would go ahead and finish it with an impressive defensive effort. Final score of 19-14, KC taking another win back to the Show Me State.
You got a right to be nervous about Nick Foles starting a quarterback instead of Alex Smith. You know, all the time last year when he was in St. Louis, he couldn't play to save his life. And as a former Rams fan, you see Nick Foles go out and suit up as a backup for the Chiefs, and now he's just playing as good as he possibly can. It's a shame, isn't it?
And talking about Alex Smith, reading some articles from ESPN, no one's really sure what's going on. All he said is it's not a concussion, but it's something. He said he has 3 kids. He does not want to play with his brain injury. Yeah. So anyway, very interesting situation there. He's practicing, doing everything else with the team, but he is not suiting up to play. Yeah. So Nick Foles, though, he's coming in clutch.
And you can't fault Alex Smith for making a decision like that. But as we mentioned last week, gotta be a little careful with giving up that starting position again
Kaepernick.
Because of what Colin Kaepernick did to him in San Francisco, and now hopefully Nick Foles doesn't do it to him in Kansas City.
We'll see though.
So let's look to the NFC North. The Lions are starting to look like an NFC North contender, with Matt Stafford looking like an MVP candidate and an offense that's really starting to rally around him. Game tied 3-3 late in the first half. Stafford is going to strike to Anquan Bolden in the end zone to put the Lions up 10-3. Sam Bradford drops back, finds a wide open Kyle Rudolph in the end zone, spikes it to the turf. Vikings tie the game again at 10. Oh, but wait a second. You got the Vikings' good old friend Blair Walsh going to attempt the extra point, and he misses it, a la the NFC North Championship game last year. We won't talk about that in the postseason. I'm sure Vikings fans are still a little bitter about it. Lions up 13-9. Vikings hand it off to Rhett Ellison. Punches it in the end zone. Ball's knocked away, but we're going to look at it one more time. Clearly breaks the plane before it's knocked out of his hand. Vikings take a 16-13 lead. So Matt Stafford's going to have one more chance. Drives them down into Vikings territory, and their kicker, Matt Prater, is good from 58 yards. I don't know if Blair Walsh would hit that one or not. Nonetheless, we're going to overtime. Lions' first drive of the game. They're 28 yards out. Stafford drops back, hits Golden Tate, makes a move on the sideline, drags a guy a couple yards, dances into the end zone. Lions get the overtime victory. Golden Tate couldn't be more excited. They're now really close, one game out in the NFC North.
It was a beautiful day for some football in New York this past weekend. Philadelphia and the Giants both coming into this game 4-3 on the season. New York would be the first to score. Quick throw to Beckham Jr. with room to run. Touchdown, New York. Still early in the first, Giants have the ball again. Manning feeling his arm today. Pass caught. Giants up with the early lead on Philadelphia, with Philadelphia on their tails. But wait, Beckham again with his second touchdown of the day. Early in the third, handoff to Varner. He spins into the goal line. Midway through the third, New York only up by 4. Manning feeling that arm again. 40-yard pass complete to Shepard, all alone in the end zone. Last play of the game, Philadelphia down 5. They would come up short. New York wins 28-23. Next game, Giants will take on the Cincinnati Bengals Monday night at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey at 7:30 p.m.
Another exciting game. One team gets to stay above 500. Another team is going to drop back to sitting at right at 500. And, Eli Manning came up big in that game when the Giants need him out in the NFC East. It's a tough division with the Eagles and the Redskins out there, and it's such an up and down season for him and Odell Beckham Jr. as well. Nice to see them get out to a good win.
I know as an athlete coming in 4-3, when you come in with, you can either go one way or the other, 500 or not. It kind of plays a little mind game with you when you're below 500. It's like, gosh, when will I ever get going? So this could be, even mentally, maybe just a booster for him now being at 500. So
it's exciting to see how the NFC East shakes up going down the stretch to the end of the season. Well, this is all we have for you today. Make sure you always find a way to support your fellow Crusaders and get out and vote. I'm Brock Wilson.
And I'm Sophie Shore. Thank you all for watching Sports Update. Don't forget to vote.